Welcome to another episode of Marriage Evolves podcast, where here your relationship will be empowered and equipped with the right tools for you and your spouse to become a team, right?
Oh, yes.
Yes, we are so excited that you have chosen to join us on tonight. If you haven't decided yet to become a subscriber of our YouTube channel, make sure you do that on tonight, okay? And make sure you put the notifications on so you'll know exactly when we're going live. And also go to our YouTube channel, not our YouTube, but our Instagram and Facebook. You will find us there. There's much material and content just for you. So we have an amazing night scheduled for you and our community.
Well, first off, I want to say Happy New Year's to everyone.
I was going to say anniversary.
Yeah. Happy New Year's to everyone. This is our first live in the year 2024. Thank you for joining, coming back, supporting, and being with us again on today. We are so glad that you took the time out of your schedule to join us and hear what it is that we have to talk about.
And while you're watching us, please make sure you put in the comments, where are you joining in from? We would love to shout you out and say hello to you as you're coming in. And wonderful.
Yes.
This is going to be great.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I am excited about our guest that we have.
So am I.
Yes. Our longtime friend, big sister, mentor. Mm-hmm. It's going to be good dialogue for today.
Oh, yes. So why don't we just go ahead and just have the conversation started?
Let's do it.
Because we're going to have some time for this one. So let me just give you some knowledge as to who this person is. So Yolanda, her name is Yolanda Pender. She is not just a licensed professional counselor. She is also a true advocate for fostering healthy connections. With over 18 years as a marriage counselor, Yolanda, alongside her husband, Timothy Pender, pastor at God's House Christian Church, where they are form of unbeatable team in both ministry and relationship coaching. This dynamic duo, let me tell you, they are sought after relationship strategists. So what we're going to do right now, as we're getting ready to go in, we're going to bring in our special guest that's all the way from
God's country.
God's country.
That's what Pastor Tim calls. He calls it God's country.
Okay, so God's country, or
South
is
Carolina.
It South Carolina? South Carolina. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and bring Yolanda in. Hey, Miss Yolanda.
Hi.
How are you doing this evening?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate you too. I'm excited. I'm ready to just chat it away.
Get it going. Yes, because I know you have so much valuable information that is going to help our community. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Okay. I love to help couples. So my husband and I, we've been married 39 years. Wow. And when we got married, there wasn't a lot of going to marriage counseling and so forth. So we said, we don't want to be a statistic, because we were teenagers. So we said, okay, we have a lot that's not on our side statistic wise. So let's beat the odds. But how do we do that? And so we dug into it and we figured, if we love each other and we were having challenges, what do other people do? How do they figure this out? And that kind of steered us along the path. And we would share with our friends the books we read, the ideas God gave us, what's in the Bible and so forth. And we love it. So once we got out of the being kind of, I don't know if people listen to us phase,
right?
People will need and want to hear something that's going to help them. So
yes.
I would say with 39 years of marriage, you got a lot to say. Valuable.
Yes. Well, not only that, just 39 years of marriage, but you also are a marriage counselor yourself.
Correct.
So that also is some expertise that the people will be able to garnish from on tonight.
Professional expertise.
Yes,
right. You know,
But before we get ready to go into your questions, we just want to shout out Place of Victory in Colorado. Also, Becky's joining us from Colorado, Faith City in South Carolina, Felicia Nickelberry, all the way from Port Hueneme, California,
I see somebody
and
there from
also
God's
Soar,
country as well.
God's Country.
Yes.
Yes, God's in the house.
okay, y'all ain't gonna team up on my man now.
Yes, and then we also have Soar Balloons and more. Hey, Miss Eleanor from Las Vegas. Thank you so much for joining. And then we have Sharice from Huntsville, Alabama. So we just want to make sure that we shout out all of the ones who have chosen to join us. So let's get into it. Let's get into this. So we, I'm just so
really bubbling over today.
I am really bubbling over. So why don't you go ahead and just handle this first question?
Well, I just want to go ahead and get us going into the dialogue of the questions, if you will. So the first question we have for you: how do you believe clear communication contributes to a strong foundation in a marital relationship?
Mm-hmm.
And what specific strategies do you employ to ensure clarity with your partner?
Okay. Well, of course, I believe clear communication is the foundation. And we want to make sure we build a strong foundation so we can have a lifetime of success.
Mm-hmm.
When you can speak clearly, and when I say clearly, I mean you put forth your emotions, your thoughts, your ideas in a manner that are understood by your mate, like you're not holding back. That helps lay that foundation. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's a few things that clear communication, meaning that I'm open and honest. Okay. There's not a lot of ambiguity in clear communication. It's like you got a clear pool of water or you got a muddy pool of water. Which one, right? Clear communications, we can see better, right?
Yeah.
So with clear communication, there's a few things. It builds trust.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It fosters between the two pastors, partners, that ability to have open and honest dialogue, and it creates a sense of I can depend on you. I can
Yes.
rely on you. I know where you are. I know where you stand, right? It
Mm-hmm.
also helps you resolve conflicts better.
Mm.
You know, think about that. If we're speaking clearly about how we feel, what we think, and we're operating with respect, and we'll get to that, but it helps when we're addressing a misunderstanding and that we can promptly get to where we missed each other, you know,
Right.
kind of misfired there. And where was that? It also allows you to navigate I'm going to say the conflict in a healthy manner. Because
Mm-hmm.
now we can have a talk, but is it healthy?
Come on now.
That part.
Come
Yeah.
on.
We can have a talk,
Mhm.
but is it healthy? And not only is it healthy, but are we walking away with clarity?
Mm.
Correct. Then I was going to say it promotes understanding. You know,
Yes.
I get it. Okay, that's how you feel about that, or this is where we are. Oh, that's what you meant when you said that. You know, it facilitates a better understanding of each other's
Mm-hmm.
perspectives. Because guess what? We don't always think alike. You know,
Yeah.
I'm here, he's there, but how do we put that together and make the best of whatever the situation is? And that's
Now,
what open, honest communication does.
Now, in
Mm.
in your experience, also as a marriage coach, have you seen where a lot of couples have fallen into the lack of clarity, whether they're married or even engaged,
Hmm.
to the point to where it really impacts their relationship in a negative way?
But of course, but of course, unfortunately, this is why I have a job or
Yes,
I have a
we
coaching
all.
is because yes, we need that person that can help us iron out, if you will, what we're trying to say.
Hmm.
And when we are coming from various backgrounds and experiences, no matter how long we've been together, there are some things that can trip us up if we're not careful.
Yes.
Say that again.
Yes.
No matter how long we've been together, how much we
Mhm.
love each other. There are some things that can trip us up if we're not careful.
Mm.
Let me give you
Like,
an example.
go ahead. Please
It-
go ahead.
don't argue and try to solve something if you hungry and you like, I mean, like really hungry. Hangry is a thing because you get
Mhm.
frustrated. Listen, let me just, and you just, how about we table this conversation? Let's eat our dinner, eat our lunch, eat our breakfast, whatever it is. Get some nourishment in you so you can be. Food is nourishment, it's fuel, right? You don't go drive the car down the highway on E. So why are you trying to have this conversation on E?
Mm.
Oh, that's good.
Mm. That reminds me of those. It was the baby Ruth. What come the Snicker commercials
Uh
when the
huh.
individual acting all crazy and outside of themselves like a celebrity, and they say, "Here, have a Snickers," and they
Right.
come back to themselves. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Hangry is
Wow.
a thing. The hangry is a thing. And so there are certain times that you
I
would
would
want
like to
to
highlight
avoid a
that.
conflict. Hmm.
I would like to highlight something that you said earlier. Clear communication. One of the
Mhm.
benefits of it is not only does it
Uh-huh. Reliability in each
yes,
other.
a
Uh-huh.
reliability in each other. I wanted to highlight that because that is for my years of being married to you in 27 years, that is something that I have realized, and not just in time married to you, but in time of talking with other couples,
Mhm.
that is something that we at our core as human
Hmm.
beings, we desire that, we need that.
Yes,
Right.
we do.
And as long, especially on a man's point of view, as long as we have that, you have our heart. We're open to you.
Mhm.
And I know from what I've learned from dealing with the female that that is like the bread and butter for you all in the in a relationship.
Mhm.
As long as you have open, clear communication, you are always flowing in that vein that you would like to operate in. And
Mhm.
the trust is there, the reliability of I have safety in His words.
Hmm.
Mhm. Yep.
I can
Now,
depend on you to do what you said you were going to do or not do what we
Yes.
agreed we weren't going to do. Whatever it was, I can depend on you because as
mm,
best as you have lying within you, you want to honor what we have agreed upon.
Yes.
that's a
Now,
big one.
Honor.
right.
Mm.
See, and if you become wishy-washy, and I, sometimes you do it and sometimes you don't. I'm not as steady. And how can two walk together unless they be agreed,
Come
Mhm.
on.
Yeah.
right? So if the agreement was we were going to do a certain thing, and then now it's sometimes we drop the ball for certain reasons. But
Mhm.
Mhm.
if you are a habitual ball dropper, I'm not trying to pass the ball to you.
No.
Habitual ball dropper.
Mm.
Okay, those that are
Mhm.
actually watching,
Mhm.
put some fire in the chat or something in there because that right there is sometimes why the clarity is not being
Mm.
given is because one party is always dropping the ball.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
that is apropos for this time in this season, as most of us loving football and we watching the playoffs, and you see these passes that players could be wide open, or they could have clearly caught it, hit their hands, and they drop it, and that makes, like you
Yeah.
said, the quarterback's not going to want to throw back to them and again.
Right.
I'm sure they
Right.
get in that huddle and say, "Look, man, I didn't threw two or three of them to you, and you did
Mhm.
not. Clearly, was yours. No defender on it. Had no reason, and you dropped it. You lost my credibility in you."
Mhm.
Right.
That is key.
Hmm.
But I'm gonna ask you this. So
Hmm.
in your experience, what role does transparency play in a relationship or marriage in maintaining the trust and understanding when it comes to this clarity? And can you
Okay.
share an example of your own relationship where clarity may have not been clear or significantly impacted your relationship?
Okay. So that's such a loaded thing because
Right.
we kind of overlook certain words when we say a thing, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to say, uh, look up. transparency.
Mm.
Look up the word transparency. And I'm going to also take it a step further. And I'll just say transparency is that clear, concise, open, what like I can see and straight through. The word lucid is also um, in that definition. And lucid is such a degree that there's no ambiguity. Meaning
Mm.
it's not a I don't know, because see that's right. It's more of a yes, this is thus so, or no, thus,
Mm-hmm.
right? So transparency is crucial because it's akin to us going on this journey together, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we need to look, once again we say, how can two walk together except they be agreed, right? Where are we going? I need to see it. What are
Yeah.
we doing? Right? And it's not just about revealing the obvious, but transparency has a level of delving into the vulnerability.
Mm.
Have to be able to be open and honest. This is why we can't be so quick to say I do to somebody, because I do what? Right? I
Yes.
we say these vows and we take them so lightly, but I have vowed to treat you a certain way, to stand by you in certain situations and circumstances. Why? And then we had a nerve to put on there until death do us part. Now we lying right
Until you get on my next nerve.
now. True transparency, it involves a level of mm, courage and fortitude. I have to be resolved within myself.
Mhm.
Wait a minute now. Let's slow that down. Let's
Okay,
slow
go back.
that down. You said it involves a level of, and I'm going to paraphrase what you said,
Okay.
me basically knowing who I am
Mm,
Yes.
mm-hmm,
as
mm-hmm,
an individual and understanding the level of my clarity that I need
Mhm.
mm.
this relationship.
Break it down, sis.
So if I am not even clear with my own self,
Mm.
How clear
how
am I going to be
can
with you?
Yes. Yes.
yes.
I would take it a step further, and I'm gonna say it from a man's point of view. Transparency, especially in the marriage relationship dynamic, it's me telling you that you know what, I'm gonna take and I'm gonna give you my heart. I'm gonna humble myself, give you my heart, and allow you to trample on it, do whatever you can, want to, or need to do to it.
Whew.
Mm.
I hope you take care of it,
Thank you.
but
Thank you.
yeah,
I hope.
hopefully I'm giving it to you that you're gonna do what you need to do right with it.
Thank you. Thank you. So now you brought up something, Roderick, that I was going to add, that the ability and the willingness to expose not just my strengths, because we all want to say, here are my strengths. This is what I bring to the table. But
Mhm.
I guess what? I also have some weaknesses that I'm pulling along,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
right? And transparency is that ability to bring that out. And it's not that I'm going to use that weakness as an excuse, but we need to do a SWOT analysis. We need to know where our strengths and our weaknesses are, so we can, where's we threaten, where's the holes in that the enemy don't come in and whip up this relationship.
Mhm.
And with that transparency, we have to have that ability to talk about things and say, hey, listen, I got this going on. This is why I don't need to just marry anyone, because can anyone help me carry this that I have? And am I
Mm.
strong enough? Because remember, the word help meet means support. If
Mhm.
I am not a strong support, we're gonna crumble, because I can't help myself, let alone trying to help you. Much as I love you, as much as but love helps us war together,
Mm.
but we also got to strengthen ourselves up and build ourselves up. Anyway, what was the question? Look,
That
Look, you hit it. Whether that was the answer to the question, the question to answer,
right.
you hit it. But and I just want to throw something out there too. Thank you for using the right terminology, because some folks I be correcting them all the time. They keep saying helpmate. I said it's not helpmate, it's help meet. Meet, MEET.
yes, sir.
Mm.
Two E's, MEET, not MATE.
Okay, well, thank you for clearing that up, sir.
That's a sore
Thank you.
spot for that brother.
Yes. So in your field of what it is that you do as marriage counselor, I'm sure you have come across couples who find themselves in this cycle of repetitively not being able to understand one another, get clarity. How can one stop the cycle so they can understand one another, get the transparency, and be able to move forward effectively?
Mm,
Is that
well,
a lot in one?
yeah, it's because it's a process.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Meaning, I need to ensure that I have worked on me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, because we like to say two people make a whole marriage. Well, no, two whole
Whole
people
people.
make a whole marriage. How am I working on myself? And a lot of times, like I said, we got married as teenagers, so you may not get. Uh, you may find that you have some things to work on, even though you love each other, and saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Spirit, fire baptized in Jesus' name,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel like running on
Mm-hmm.
because you still have things that you may need to work on. So there are some things that you can do um, when you're navigating those challenges, kind of prioritizing open and honest communication. So you got to be willing to know yourself.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Tim always says something about, he saw this little reel of a dad and his daughter getting ready to go somewhere. She's trying to put on her little seatbelt. And the dad turns around and says, "You need me to help you?" And she says, "No, I got it." But she's not really quite, clicking it. He said, "You sure you don't need me? What about yourself?"
Oh,
And okay, it's funny in a sense, but it's like, whoa, that was my child, girl. I'm about to hurt you. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a point, like in the airplane when they say, put your mask on first before you can
Mm-hmm.
try to help someone else.
mhm.
Because if you pass out, who gonna help
Yeah,
the
you know good.
okay. So
Mhm.
there's some things that you would want to do to help yourself be a better, let's say, in a better position, I'll say,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
to be that mate. Now we're not all perfect, but there are things that we know that we should work on. Be open and
Yes.
honest and transparent about it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't act as if the onus is only on your mate to do different.
Mm-mm.
It's on both
Mm-mm.
of us.
It's on
Mm-mm.
both of us. Now,
That's it.
if I say, "Oh, I can't stand it. I keep asking you," let me go somewhere frivolous so people don't get all upset. "I keep asking you when you come in the house, put your shoes right over there. I done made a little rack. I want you to put the shoes right there." Where they go, they walk on in the house and then kick their shoe off somewhere else, right? Okay. So that can get on your last nerve. Now, how
Mhm.
do I approach that? There's a
Mm-hmm.
way I can do that. So there's a kind of like you can do active listening,
Mm.
meaning meaning I just didn't hear the words womp 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 Charlie Brown teacher, but I'm listening to you. I'm
Mm-hmm.
prioritizing you to ensure that I you know that I heard you, that you feel that I'm listening, and I'm doing my best to understand your perspective, right?
Mhm.
But too many times we're not actively listening.
Mhm.
I
Facts.
heard I heard you say something, but oh, now what did you say? Right, we know, and that can
Mm-hmm.
shut a person down because if I feel I'm not being heard, I'm going to either get louder, which is not
Mm-hmm.
good, or I'm going to shut down. So that's not open and honest and clear communication, right? So learn how to actively listen. Be transparent in your expressions.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
What am I saying and why am I saying this? Okay, so let's define a thing. I always say let's define a word. If I say, oh, Roderick said it earlier, and I said I was going to get you, Roderick. If you say, Miss Perfect, And you know what you mean by it.
Yes.
But what did Roshawn, hot seat, when he said Miss Perfect, he said, don't say that. What do you hear when he says Miss Perfect? What do you hear?
Well, what I heard when he said that was everything always has to be right. Nothing can be out of line or misplaced.
Yeah, she heard
That's what I heard when he said that.
no flaws.
No flaws whatsoever, which is unrealistic.
Yes.
So you hear him holding you to an unrealistic standard.
Yes, because I'm flawless. I mean, not flawless. I am one that still has
Flawed.
flaws. Yeah, I'm flawed.
And so, Roderick, what do you mean when you say Little Miss Perfect?
It was a sarcasm as to how she likes to prepare everything, that it has to be picture perfect. And it's like, okay, there has a room of margin of error, and everything doesn't have to be in the box. There could be a little bit of color outside the line. Let's show the people that how real we are. I like being outside the lines. I don't like being in the box.
Okay, so it's a little bit of sarcasm. And guess what? Sarcasm has a tendency to breed contempt.
Contempt. Yes.
She eventually she will shut down and she feels some kind of way. You say it and you said it nice. You said it funny, kind of Little Miss Perfect, but she had a reaction. And too many reactions will make her buck up against what you said rather than receive what you're saying.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, when a spouse is trying to gain understanding or clarity, and the other spouse may not hear it correctly, or they say it in a certain manner that's in sarcasm, it could bring that wedge.
Right. It can. Think about it. You guys are in a good spot. But if you weren't, and he said that, you're going to hear what you hear, and your emotions are your thoughts are going to provoke certain emotions from you. And then the rest of the interview, you would have carried on because people know how to, but you would have been hot and couldn't wait till we stopped this conversation so you could tell him, listen, you embarrassed me. You
Fireball.
Right. See? And we go there. Now, did that breed you feeling
good now? You say we're good now, but at one point in time, that would have been us, and it wouldn't have waited till we got off camera. It would have been on camera.
Thank the Lord for
Hallelujah,
grace.
for growth,
Yes.
But this is what happens with couples. Now imagine if you say, okay, that was that little dig, I ain't gonna do nothing, and you shut down. That's contempt. You shut down. He says what he says, and then you shut down. Now, because you're not necessarily bucking up against him, he might think he found a good way to say it, and you okay with it because you didn't say anything.
That part right there.
Yeah. So he'll say it again, not realizing the more he's saying it, the further down you shutting. Until now you're like, what's wrong with you? What you mean, what's wrong with me? You know what's wrong with me. No, I don't. Why? Because two things didn't happen. He misunderstood the cue and you didn't speak up. We talked about open and honest communicate. That's not open, honest, babe. When you said, and so we say, use I statements. I felt a little bit perturbed, embarrassed, frustrated, whichever it was, when you said Little Miss Perfect. We're just using that for right now, but it could be anything. It could be anything. Yes, so you always want to actively listen. What is the person trying to say before you get defensive and say, babe, I ain't mean nothing by it. Listen, hear them out. So they can speak.
I'm laughing as you're saying it because that is one of the things that I found myself dealing with Roshawn. Whenever we're communicating, and I could hear, but not really hear everything. I said, baby, excuse me, can you repeat what you said? And she'd be like, sometimes, you heard me. I said, wait a minute. I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying because I heard you, but I think I might have miscued some things. I want to have clarity. So that way I don't miscue, because if I did miscue it, I have a fire tongue waiting for you. But if I get clarity on it, I can pull that
Fire
fire tongue
tongue.
back in and
I
then go
have
ahead.
witnesses.
Hey, I'm just being real and transparent, because I know there's a lot of folks that are listening probably.
Exactly.
So.
Oh, I'm one of them. Miss blah, 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 come out your mouth, here
Mhm.
it come. Blah. And so
Mhm.
Tim and I like to say we were two bulls in a china shop. We was
Yeah.
tearing dang things up out there until
Sure
we
was.
learned how to communicate a little better. And even now we can say, wait, hold on, babe. Take a breath. What,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you meant by that, but when you said so and so, this is what I heard. See, now
Mhm.
I don't even have to ask him, or he don't have to ask me, what did you hear when I say so and so? He said, this is what I heard. And then I can say,
Mhm.
oh, I'm sorry, that's not what I was saying. Because we have different backgrounds and experiences.
Yes.
And we will find ourselves pulling from those things when we're triggered by something else.
Mm. I like one of these comments. One of the individuals said, I'm going to put it up here. Face it, trace it, and erase it.
Yes. Yes.
This is what you have to do when you want to get clarity. Otherwise, you will always be like that, going like this
Mm-hmm.
in your relationship.
Exactly.
Now, what would you say to couples that are engaged, couples that are newlywed and been seasoned for some time? Give them some steps on how they could work on gaining and getting clarity with their spouse.
All right. Gain and get some clarity with yourself. Go back to there. Back to
Go
there.
back
All right.
there.
First
Mhm.
and foremost.
Why do I feel the way I feel when this happens, or when we hit this? Is it because are you a repeat offender? And so now I feel like I can't trust you. Do I feel like we're not walking in toward the goal that we said? We had a shared goal, and then now
Mhm.
you're doing something different.
Yeah.
So now my perspective about you is starting to change. Remember, we talked about, being that person who I can depend on and be right. So if I'm open and honest, and I say a I statement again, babe, when we say we're going to take a summer trip every summer, and then here comes the summer, and we don't have plans, and then something is just thrown together, or we don't go because we don't have plans, and now we can't find nowhere to go. Right? I need to be able to explain to you what I'm feeling. What does this open, honest communication mean? It means I honestly need to let you know what bothered me about that situation, and do some active listening. You listen to what I'm saying, and I listen to what you're saying. So we can figure this out and do different the next time.
Mhm.
When we can have a regular, transparent expressions of, it helps us with this understanding of where we're coming from, because there's some things I might need to work through.
Mhm.
Everything isn't just going to be fixed because we said it, but now we both know where we're working at. We did that SWOT analysis, so we knew our strengths, our weaknesses, and what we're going to do, the threats, how we're going to handle that. So how do we handle it if we don't talk about it? If I don't know that I have a hang up, let's say about, I'll use me. If I don't express to Tim, listen, I didn't grow up with a lot of money, and so I never want to have my checks bouncing. Back in the day, we wrote checks,
Change
right?
that.
And
Mhm.
I don't want to. I don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. I That's just something we can avoid at all costs. So I don't have to have everything that everybody else has. I just need to save some money,
Mhm.
right? But here's the thing, that might sound good, and I said it to him, but if he doesn't really see how deep-seated that is for me, or if I didn't even know that that was my
Mm.
issue, we're going to
Yeah.
run into some problems. Because what we had to learn is say, okay, wait, well, so what amount are you comfortable with the account getting below once again, we were young. We were, just, so we had to buy everything, furniture, food, pay the bills, do all the things. And so we had to have those open, honest communications. What I could allow or could feel comfortable and secure with before now has grown because we've grown.
Yeah.
Right? But initially we start off, listen, don't spend more than $50 without letting me know, because you spent it, I spent it. Oh no, we ain't had but 200 extra anyway, and now we done spent the
Right.
whole 100 of that. I'm nervous. And he's like,
Mm.
oh, fine, let it be. No. Listen. It pulls something out of me. Now, does that mean I don't need to work on what I feel? No, I still need to work on and balance out my emotions.
Yes.
That's work on yourself. But I need to know so I can explain it to him.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then I need to be married to somebody who's listening to me.
Yes.
That's real. That's,
I need to quit. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. That is so good because I'm sorry. I know you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, that is so good because this is where couples can get over their situations and issues if they just understood that part, what you just said. They're not really paying attention to, as myself and someone was talking earlier, shout out to Pastor Richardson, we were talking earlier, you're trying to build up a case towards your spouse instead of accepting or acknowledging their feelings and the things that may bring about a trigger to them,
Right.
or invalidating them.
Validate them. Proverbs 4:7 says, wisdom is the principal thing. And that we should seek after it and get it, right? But in all thy getting, get an understanding. Right? So how do I operate as the head of my house and not try to get an understanding and think I'm walking in wisdom when I don't have an understanding? With the very concept of wisdom being, I have such an understanding that I know how to walk the pieces together in a way that's beneficial to us. So what am I leading? What am I? And how's the help meet supporting me if I'm building lopsided? The support beams can only hold so much. I mean,
who's following the leader?
Who?
Leader.
Yes. Listen, girl, this is so good. If you are in the chat room and you have any questions for Miss Yolanda, please put the question in the chat and she will have a few minutes to be able to answer your question. And this has been so informative, and I am so glad that we had you come and be a part. And our last question, my husband is going to ask you your last question.
I love what you have here. And I'm not going to steal your thunder on it, but I just want to ask, in the context of marriage, how can couples proactively address potential miscommunications or unspoken expectations, which foster more transparent and harmonious communication, connection? What advice would you give them?
Okay.
I know we're probably repeating ourselves, but they got to get it. They have to get it.
I would say, wait, okay, let me think about this.
I like that acronym that you had told us earlier.
The acronym, because it is kind of repeat, but I'll say the acronym, because I believe it's consistent with the word. And when we're armed. Yep. And when I'm armed, and I'm armed to the right things, then the enemy has to watch out, because now I'm armed and dangerous. And we become that dynamic duo, better than Batman and Robin, because they was two men, but we are what God said as a holy union would be. And so armed, I'm, once again, active listening. How do I make sure that I am hearing what my spouse is saying? I have to be in tune. I made a vow to this person. Why am I brushing them off? And a lot of times we brush off because we don't understand. That's why I said we got to get an understanding. So we don't brush. It's not that I don't love you. I just don't know what to do with what you're talking about. Or you hit on something I'm not ready to work on yet.
That right there.
Mm-hmm.
That one right there.
Yeah. And so being an active listener helps you. And then the R would be to go ahead and reevaluate. Go back and reassess. Periodically go back over. What are we doing? Where were we going? Are we still on course? You've been in the Navy. You know, you can't just turn on the boat goes straight. The waves of the water is going to, just on their own, is going to make the boats go ahead if we don't control it, right? So we have to come back and reassess what we're doing. And that M is have that mutual trust, mutual respect, and how we're going to address things. Am I operating in what we said we were going to do as a collaborative unit, right? So when we talk about establishing boundaries and expectations, once again, go back and look at the words, because we said this is what we were doing. We made this mutual agreement, this mutual understanding, right? And a boundary is when you, let me just say this. In the realm of counseling, boundaries, we understand boundaries line are demarcations of areas of responsibility or areas of my control, right? So my boundary, let's use your yard. You have a front yard, a backyard, or whatever. You have boundary lines. When you purchased your property, you know where your yard is and where your neighbor yard begins, right?
Yes.
Well, now if my neighbor comes in my yard and plants a tree, they out of bounds, right? Why? Or if I plant a tree, why do I feel like I need to go to my neighbor and plant the tree in their yard? I'm out of bounds. What do? We look at the other person's stuff rather than staying in our lane and doing what we're supposed to do.
Yes.
So that boundary is for me. So the boundary is for me to say how I'm going to govern myself. Should the storms of life, the winds and the waves keep going, what is Yolanda going to do? It's not for me to say, you know what, Roshawn, you're not going to bring that to me today. Ain't no need me saying, no, Satan. No, what am I going to do? Okay, here she comes. I've already explained to her, don't start with those kind of, talks. I'm not going to talk about her neighbor or whatever, right? So then I change the subject. Or I say, sis, I love you. I've expressed to you that that's not the type of conversation I want to have. So we can change the conversation, or I'll just go ahead and go home. Or you can just go ahead and go home if you came to my house. The boundary is for me.
Yes.
What am I going to do? I'm not making you do anything. I'm saying if this is what you're doing, then my boundary is this is what I'm doing.
Yes.
Now, mates have a challenge with sticking with those sometimes. And we start fighting over, didn't I tell you I didn't like that? Or why are you doing it that way? And see, now we're getting all tensed up. So be sure to manage your expectations. An expectation is something I can hope for based on what we talked about or what we agreed. I can hope for it. That's my expectation that we have discussed planting these flowers and this is where they're going. Why, when I look out there today, them flowers over there? And they're not even the flowers. See, my expectation wasn't met.
And that's where a lot of us get lost in the turns because of our expectations.
Correct.
Are not clearly defined or met.
Right.
Correct. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so that's how you help each other. And then you go back and you have dialogue.
Yes.
You have dialogue. It's not a monologue. I'm not going to just rip you up one. Dialogue. This is what that open and honest conversation or communication is about. Dialogue is what? I got to talk. Somebody got to say something.
Yes,
we can't be in contempt of court here where everybody shut down. No. We need to say something. And it needs to be constructive. I don't need to
Very
talk
much so.
about you. So earlier when we talked about the sarcasm, if my sarcasm tends to make my spouse feel a certain way, then I need to figure out how I can address what I'm saying differently, right? And
Mhm.
then, but hold on, then it's on the spouse as well to make sure, what am I so, why did that affect me the way it did?
Right.
So we can have that transparency. Remember, it's about vulnerability as well.
Mhm.
And those weaknesses. You know what? I just didn't feel secure. I got embarrassed, or I don't know, whatever it was. Or I really thought we were doing this. Our goal was this. And then when we switch course, some people don't accept change well. So there could be a
Yeah.
myriad of reasons why it affected me the way it did, but we need to talk about it. We need to have
Mhm.
dialogue. So that's your acronym. The active listening, reassessment, mutual agreement, and then dialogue. We need to talk about it. I hope that answers that question.
Yes, that was great. And just for those in the back row, it was the acronym is ARMD. ARMD. And Yolanda just clearly said it. Active listening, reassessment,
Mhm.
Mhm.
mutual agreement, and dialogue.
Dialogue.
That's going to help you.
If you don't get nothing else out of this session today, that right there, take
Yes.
that acronym, work with it.
Arm
And that
yourself.
exactly, arm yourself. And then with all of those strategies, it's clear that you'd be able to learn how to get clarity in the relationship. My last question, because we definitely need to roll on, but the last question, would you, and I didn't send this one to you, would you recommend that those who are engaged get marriage counseling or coaching so they can understand these principles before they get married?
Yes. Yes. How do you go into a situation without first counting up the cost?
Come on now.
Mm.
Come on. You should prepare yourself. You can't go get a driver's license before you take the test and study, and so why not get your marriage
Mm-mm.
license after you've done some marriage counseling and then talk about these things? It's not to say that you're going to have everything peachy keen perfect, but you
Right.
will be better prepared because
Yes.
life is going to be lifing.
Come on
That
now.
part.
Say that part right there again. Please repeat that.
You have to be prepared because life is going to be lifing. And
Yes. All right.
if you will fall into the storm-tossed seas if you can get your anchor short.
Ooh.
Mm, mm. I hope y'all heard. I
A-
hope y'all heard
And
that last
yes,
part what she just said.
yes.
Because
And that even goes for those who are
yes.
Yes.
church,
Oh yeah.
churched or non-churched,
Mhm.
because there's going to be some seas that come,
Mm-hmm.
and we all have to be anchored. But
Yeah.
Yolanda, oh my God, has been
Great dialogue.
amazing
Great dialogue.
dialogue. We thank you so much from the bottom of our heart, actually from the top of our heart,
Yeah.
for being able to come on and just provide our community your expertise.
Mhm.
And
But
I'm sorry.
before we go, we want to act is how if anybody wants to check you out, learn more about what you do, or just want to follow you, how can they reach you?
You can
Yes.
reach me at aboutlifemarriage.com, or you can go to social media on Facebook or Instagram, same thing, About Life Marriage. Um,
Mhm.
One of the things that we do, though, is we do a premarital called Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. And so you can go
Yep.
to, it's called Sendus. And you can go there, sendus.com. You can look for us. We're in South Carolina, and because of the nature of what it is, we do video marriage sessions through there. So you don't have to live in South Carolina to do that with us. But those are ways to reach out about
Mhm.
lifemarriage.com. And just to get a better understanding of what you want to do. Now, if you want to have set up marriage counseling and so forth, you can email me at Yolanda at aboutlifemarriage.com, and we can see what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has something a little different.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And while I am willing to help whomever I can, I do understand that I might not be everyone's cup of tea or so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Or there may be some things
Yep.
in your situation that require some other assistance. So, but reach out, because I can even help you with that part if possible. So,
Well, thank you for sharing that. And folks, we will go ahead and add that into our chat. So if you forgot it, you missed it, you didn't get a letter in there, we will ensure that we have her posted on our site so you can be able to get that information
Mm-hmm.
if you want to follow or reach out to Miss Yolanda. All right, babe.
now I have
And
a
again,
question.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
do you say? What do you say to clients that are in deep at the depths of divorce? Let's say at the big D words steps. We there. Do you help couples that far advanced, or do you refer them out?
We do help couples
yeah.
that far in advance. And the first question I always ask them, do you still love your mate?
Mm,
Do you want to make this marriage work?
yes.
Because even though they may be at the brink of divorce, the fact they come to see us and talk to us means that they have a sense, at least one of them have a sense of wanting to salvage it. So that I ask both of them individually. And if I get any slight inclination that in
Mm-hmm.
either one and or both, we're going to do what we can to help them.
Amen.
But if
Awesome.
one of them say no unequivocally, I'm like, well, there's nothing further we can do.
There you
Exactly.
go. And
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 then when
that's a
we and then when we do finally get them and we begin the process, one of the major things that we always ask, well, Roderick always asks them is, are you committed to the process?
Yes.
Because
we're
not many,
putting more work into it than you are.
thank you.
exactly, not many people are committed to the process that it's going to take
Mhm.
to get past all of the issues to where they can become sustained or get a better foundation than what they had before
Right.
and
Right.
work on something different. So they have to be committed to the process.
Right. Yeah, I always tell couples you can go to the hospital, you're not feeling good, and you can even be admitted into ICU and then come out. They did all the surgery, whatever they needed to do. But if you don't go through physical therapy and put in the work,
Yes.
you
You
what
find
did you
yourself
want
right
to
back there.
happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So we have to work, and I'm glad to hear you say that.
Yeah.
Amen.
Oh, yes. Well,
Very good.
folks, I am so glad that we had Miss Yolanda to come on.
Yes.
We're
Thank
probably going to end up having a part 2 to this sometime soon because it's already been almost an hour, but because you have so much information. And I believe our assignment is to give couples what they need so they won't get to the point of the D word, divorce or separation. Our mission as marriage coaches is to help them become one team. And that means for you to get the strategies and you to apply it in your life on a daily basis
Mm-hmm.
so you can overcome your issues. But once again, as we said earlier, if there are areas in your life that you need help in, please reach out to one of us, Miss Yolanda, or to myself and my husband, Roderick, and we will be more than able to assist you in whatever area that you need. And let me tell you something. It don't matter what stage of relationship you are in. We all need some
Yes,
assistance.
we do.
Amen.
We all need assistance. But on that note, as we always say in the end, we are two hearts, one team with one purpose. Make sure you go follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and on YouTube.
Thank you for
You guys
joining
have a
us.
wonderful night.
Bye.